Welcome to Conversations in Between the Realms, a podcast where the mystical meets the everyday. Join Amanda Nova and Beth Renov each week as we dive into the profound journey of awakening, sharing our experiences, insights, and the lessons that guide us toward our divine purpose. Together, we awaken and guide our souls and others, exploring the magic of living in the 3D while staying connected to the higher realms, embracing the challenges, and celebrating the growth. You've been guided here for a reason. Trust in the journey and let the unfolding begin.
Welcome back to Conversations in Between the Realms. I'm Amanda Nova, and I'm here as always with the lovely Beth Renov. And today we're going to be talking about intuition. We're going to be talking about the different sides of it, how you know when it's intuition, and how to just use logic and reasoning with intuition. So I'm going to get right into it, but I'm going to ask you how you are as I usually do. And right now we're in the middle of eclipse season, so I already know the answer, but how are you doing?
Feeling the eclipses. But I will say, feel like because I've done such a good foundational work on grounding and really have done the work on myself, like I thought it would hit me worse than it did. Like I am coping. My therapist has been on maternity leave since June, I want to say, or maybe
How
May.
dare she, by the way?
How dare she like have a life, right? But it's always like when she goes, always like she's done it once before, but it just feels like, oh no, how am I going to deal? But I think it really showed me that I have like all the work I've done. I hate using this, but like a toolkit, like I really do have that. And that is like, my pet peeve of when people say your toolkit to like your coping skills, but
Yeah.
I really do. And there are many that I've developed that just aren't even from therapy. Like every morning I've been sitting outside and grounding every morning, and it just makes my life so much better. I feel so much more regulated. And then someone, I don't remember who it was. It was probably like Everything Aligns, like that like spiritual account.
Oh, I don't know
Do you know
that.
what it is?
No.
I bet you like actually follow them. You just like never looked at
I
the
probably
name.
don't realize.
But
Yeah,
I think
I'm
they
sure.
posted, yeah. They repost all the people we follow. And that's how I originally like that was my first spiritual like account I followed. But I think they posted sign of emotional intelligence is to not share your bad mood when you're in it. And like and that like was echoing throughout my head for the past week, and it really helped me when I wasn't in the best of moods or feeling like the eclipse really intensely, to be like, this is your stuff. You don't have to make the entire room feel that. You don't have to make other people feel that. And there was something really like empowering about that, is like, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't have to stay in this mood the whole time. And so I feel like,
Yeah.
yes, I haven't been in the best of places lately, but I have been seeing like these improvements and shifts for myself that make me feel really good.
Yeah.
So
I think that's so interesting and such a, yeah, I mean, such an amazing shift and an interesting way to put it too. Like, because we kind of go through these different things of like, it's okay to feel your feelings. And I feel like we've been in this phase of like really pushing people to express. And so now it's almost like everybody's expressing. And we're in this time of like social media where it's like over expressing. You know what I mean? It's like you can't do
yes.
anything without everyone knowing. And I actually was thinking about it the other day, how the overexpression and the overtelling is causing isolation, because my mom was saying to me, when we were younger, we used to get together, and you never get together with girlfriends, like you never do that. And I was thinking, because there's no reason to catch up with people because we know what
Right.
everybody's doing. We know where
Mhm.
everybody is. We know it. So there's no like meeting with a girlfriend and catching up because you know what everyone's doing because everybody's oversharing. Everyone's overexpressing. It's like this
Right.
overshare. So I just think that's really interesting. It's like, okay, you don't need to know everything about everyone. You don't
Right.
need to tell everybody everything that's going on.
Absolutely. And I think the pendulum just always swings a little too far the other way. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, there's a difference between ignoring and repressing your feelings
Mhm.
and oversharing every single like emotion you
Mhm.
feel, and it's just how can I express my frustration or anger or sadness in a way that doesn't affect everybody else around me, because then it just creates this volatility. Like Lauren and I got in like a tiff or something in the morning one morning, and I was like, this could easily snowball into the entire day, and I
Yeah.
don't want it to, like, and I feel like that has been the shift too. And maybe this is what this eclipse brought me, but it's just like you don't have to act in ways. What do you want to do?
Right.
Like,
Right. Right.
and I've been eating like garbage ever since Labor Day weekend because I was like, oh, I'm on vacation, like I can eat whatever I want. But I'm noticing it's making me feel really sluggish. It's making me
Mhm.
not in the best mood. It like directly has an impact on my energy. And I'm like, I don't want to eat this way. And I
Yeah.
think I've always ate that way and treated myself like, because I've always been in this state of like deprivation, right? So it's
Yeah.
like such extremes in that way too. I'm either not doing anything or like eating everything. And it's just
Right.
like, why can't we have some middle ground here? Like, I
Right.
don't need to deprive myself. I don't need to say you can't have it. I'm just in this place where I'm like, I don't want it because I don't want
Right.
to feel that way. I don't want to have my day ruined because I'm being stubborn in my feeling and I need to express myself and let everybody know that I'm upset,
Right. Right.
It's
And I
just this like middle ground I'm trying to get
Yeah,
to.
and I think, like, I mean, the food thing I think is so, so fascinating because I think, like, that's the way so many people look at it. Like, I think in the way that
Mhm.
they do it, it's like, okay, like, dieting is like this punishment almost. Like, it really is like
Right.
taking away. But if you flip it and, the way that I look at food and one of the things I'm trying to like develop is like this high vibrational like guide for eating because the way that I look at it is like, okay, you're nourishing your body, right? And so if we've talked about this before on the podcast about like food containing light. If you want to feel better, you are going to eat the foods that contain the most energy, that's going to give you the most energy. So, like what you're saying, you want to feel better. It's not deprivation, it's eating the things that are going to
Right.
bring you the most life. And I'm trying to do that right now as well. Like, and so I'm kind of like developing it as I'm doing it myself because I was like garbage all summer too. And like now I'm like, okay, I want more energy. So, I
Yes.
have to bring that in. Like, that revitalization like that the fall is
Mhm.
gonna bring in.
Yes. And summer's like your get out of jail free card. I mean, it's really hard to function. I feel like vices are at their like all-time high, but I think we also have to look at them not as vices, but as just like
Yeah.
enjoying yourself. Like, but I overindulged a little bit and I'm feeling that. It's just too much. I went over the threshold where it feels okay for me. And I'm seeing the negative impacts of that. And I'm like, I genuinely want to. Like, I've been loving my walks, but yesterday, I can't help when I have a Bartonella flare, but like my feet were killing. And I'm like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to beat yourself up that you didn't do 5 miles today.
Yeah.
Like, it's just finding that middle ground. And maybe that's like a better topic. I don't know, like finding middle ground of things. And that kind of goes into the intuition of when
Yeah.
people only follow their intuition because they get this gut feeling, but is it based in logic and reasoning, right?
Right. Right. Well, I think too, like, I think it's like when we talk about intuitive living, intuitive eating, intuitive
Right.
movement, like living your life the way that you want to feel your best, right? So like when we talk about things like intuitive eating and like that's such a hot topic, right? Of like how to do
Yes.
that. And a lot of people struggle with it because they feel like, okay, I'm like going to like eat a bag of M&Ms. Like if that's the case, like I want to eat a bagel. Like, but really it's about doing what feels good and not
Yes.
beating yourself up if you don't walk 5 miles. It's not about like rigidity. Like it's not about being
Yes.
so like intense. And so it is finding that middle ground. Like I Ari and I went to a mommy and me yoga class last week, and
Mhm.
we ended up, it was like a whole thing that happened, and we ended up being super late. We went there for 15 minutes. It was like a scene. But then yesterday, like, I was like, oh my God, I just realized, like, we could do this on YouTube. Like, we could watch, we don't have to
Mhm.
go to a class every single week. We could literally watch something for 10 minutes and we could do this. Like, it could be a little piece of something here and there. Like, we could do this like
Yeah.
for 10 minutes if we want. Like, it's like about like just these little bursts too, like just whatever feels good. Like if it feels good in the moment, like it's
Right.
just little
I th-
things.
I think it's if it feels aligned,
Mhm.
right? And it's like, oh, you have to look at like different layers, right? So with intuitive eating, it's such a good example because I found intuitive eating, I'm gonna eat everything I want and it's gonna make me feel bad. The intuitive eating isn't about just letting yourself do whatever you want.
Right.
It's being intuitive to say, does this feel good? Does this feel aligned with what I'm trying to do without being rigid, right?
Mhm.
Because I will order McDonald's every night because I intuitively feel I want it, right? So that doesn't work for me. And yes, you do eventually get sick. And I remember one nutritionist telling me that. I'm like, I don't know if that's the healthiest way for me to do it, right?
Right.
Because I will allow myself and then I get myself to an even bigger hole. And I think it's like you have to look at what do I want out of this? Yes, I would love to look amazing. Like, of course, right? Like, and feel amazing. But it's more that what we just talked about. I want energy. I want to feel not disgusting, like, and tired. I don't want to feel fat. I want to, like, feel good in my clothes, like, and be them fit and I feel comfortable in them. I want to be able to keep up with life and go out and have a social life. This all stops me when I'm eating like McDonald's
Right.
every day,
Right.
And I think, does this align with my goal? Like, can I have some middle ground, right? Of maybe I don't get the McDonald's, but maybe I eat something and have something in the house that really maybe isn't the healthiest, but it just feels good. And once I'm like, okay, I don't need that anymore to like, is it just filling up a hole emotionally for me? Am I just
Right.
stressed out? Right?
Right.
Like, and then you get deeper. I almost think it's like the depth. That's the intuitiveness of like seeing how deep, why am I wanting this? Why
Right.
am I doing
Right.
this? Right?
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say, like kind of pivoting into how if it's intuition versus ego, right? So like I think that that's kind of where we wanted to go with this, and I think if somebody's going to turn around and say like, okay, I am just going to eat garbage and that's what my intuition wants me to do, like I do think that that's not really intuition, right? And it's the same thing like
Right.
with somebody being like, well, I just want to be like super skinny then, like that's ego. And it's not ego as in like like you are conceited ego, right? Like ego is just
Right.
like the mind, right? That's how we like look at it, right?
Right.
It's like that controlling mind.
Freudian.
Right, exactly. So, intuition is really the piece that's taking care of you. It's really like the mother,
Yes.
the feminine, the nourishment. And so the intuitive pull is really what cares for you the most, right? Like so
Mhm.
that piece of you, that's the only way I could like describe it, right? Like that pull really wants the best for you. Whereas, like anything that is like too, rigid or too loosey goosey and other, like, the angel
Right.
or the devil, like on your shoulder, like those two things, that's ego in either form. That's kind of
Absolutely.
how I would look at it.
Right. And it's so interesting. Now I'm remembering where I saw this is some spiritual person I was following was talking about the spirit like the spiritual industry kind of that we're in
Hmm.
and how we're so heavy on the feminine right now
Hmm.
and that like a lot of the reasons like manifestations aren't coming in is because there is not enough masculine now. Like we're
Mm-hmm.
tipping the scales and we're overcorrecting, right? Because
Okay.
we've denied the feminine for so long. Everybody's honing in on this
Yeah.
divine feminine, but you need that logic and reasoning, which
Mm-hmm.
is the masculine, right?
Right.
And the intuition is your feminine, but we've been like only focusing on intuition, which yes, we need to hone in on it more, but we can't only have that and ignore the other parts of it that
Right.
help
Well,
balance it.
right. Well, you also need the masculine to execute the intuition.
Yes.
Like, I think
Right.
that that's what a lot of people miss too. Like, in like, I work with people all the time who want to live soul led lives, right? And who want to have
Mm-hmm.
soul led businesses. Like, you need the intuition and the feminine piece to, yes, follow your passion, discover what your passion is, but then you do need those masculine elements to then run a business, and it's not about
Right.
male and female, it's having the balance of that. And you can have a feminine business, right? Where you're like,
Right.
okay, and meaning like, and I think both of us kind of run our businesses this way of like, we make
Yes.
our own schedules, like we work when we feel like called to, you kind of like have that ability to then, run your own business. And that's running it in a feminine way of like when you feel called, but still you need those masculine elements of routine, right? Of like,
Right.
showing up. Like there's things that you need. So that makes total sense to me.
Right. And then they also talked about it, and this is what we've talked about in other episodes, where we lean into too much to the feminine and kind of ignore the logic and reasoning, and we're like intuition. But then you have these like archons and like negative people coming in, and you're not checking yourself with the logic and reasoning. So you
Mm,
fall into the traps of people who
mm,
don't have the best interests, that don't like kind of come with the light. They're kind of in the
yeah.
darkness, and they will take advantage of you. And that's why you still need that logic and reasoning to ground you. Like,
Mm,
yes, there's intuition. The intuition might be, oh my God, like this is interesting. There's something about this I like, but to dive in fully without any caution, kind of, or
yeah.
skepticism, like skepticism is healthy. Like we
Yeah.
shouldn't lose that all to intuition because your gut is telling you something. Your gut is probably telling you something because it's grounded in reason and
Right.
logic, you
Right.
know, and
Right.
and they work together.
And I
I
think,
just thought that was so interesting.
yeah, it's so fascinating. And I think the biggest thing that people struggle with, and it's the biggest thing for people who have clairsentience, like it really depends
Yes.
on what your gifts are in terms of what is the strongest, right? Because I believe that everyone is gifted and I believe that everyone has all of the clairs, but it's like,
Yes.
which ones are working the strongest for you. So clairsentience is the ability is clear feeling, right? That's what it is, right?
Mhm.
So you feel things. So that is really like feeling in your gut, right? That's really what it is.
Mhm.
So people who are clairsentient, they really have a lot of anxiety because they feel it in their gut. Like they get a lot of stomach aches, they have a lot of anxiety. Those people are the ones who will be like, oh, I have a gut feeling about this, or I really feel it. And they really struggle to tell the difference between a gut feeling or fear, right? Like it's like
Right, or
intuition or
anxiety.
fear or anxiety. And they struggle with that. I mean, my mom is a perfect example. Like she lives in anxiety and fear, and a lot of times it's intuition, but now she's confused. Like she doesn't know how to tell it apart. A lot of people struggle. So my question is like, how do those people tell it apart? How do they know?
So I saw this. I posted this like years ago when I was started my practice. Um, the difference between intuition and fear or anxiety is intuition is like a definite. It's the cognizance, right? The clear cognizance of just knowing, right? You don't doubt it. You don't have anxious feelings about it. You're not thinking what bad could happen. It's almost this like confidence kind of.
Mhm.
And the anxiety or fear is second guessing yourself, but the feeling that you feel it in your stomach is where the confusion kind of comes
Mm-hmm.
in.
Yeah.
But if you're second guessing, if you have doubts, if you feel like you're spiraling, that's not intuition, that's anxiety,
Right.
you
Right.
know? But and so let's say it is an intuition about something bad. I think that's where people can kind of get
Yeah.
um messed up, is if this is a situation you shouldn't be going in. The intuition is really clear of like, nope, this is a bad situation. I don't know
Right.
exactly why, but I know I shouldn't be doing that or talking to
Right.
this
Right.
person or
Right.
going to that
Yeah.
versus, well, you know what? Like you have an opportunity come that you get a little bit anxious or fearful and you're like,
Right.
and then you start to spiral and question yourself and second guess. That's anxiety and fear versus intuition. Does that
Right,
make
right,
sense?
right. Yes, 100%. I
Yeah.
think that makes total sense because we've also talked about like sometimes like that anxiety rising is energy that's like stuck and sometimes
Yes.
it's good and sometimes it needs to just get out and we've been told before by some of the light beings like Josh Yoon and stuff that like the that anxiety is sometimes built up energy, right? And like so it's different things. Sometimes it's our body trying to tell us something, sometimes it's messages, like it's all different kinds of stuff. But I think the intuition piece is so fascinating because you need the logic and reasoning, and this is kind of like why I brought that up, to decipher what that
Mm-hmm.
feeling is. So that's where the masculine comes in, because if you just were leaning on the feminine, then how do you figure that out, right? Like you're kind of just like, oh
No.
no, like I just feel like, right? So you need that logic to be like, this is what's happening right
Right. And it helps you make good decisions, you
now.
know? Because if you clearly, like, yes, like you should go off intuition, but it's not only intuition. And
Right,
I think people make that mistake and they find themselves in these situations where they're like, well, now I can't trust myself.
right,
Right? Because they were mistaking maybe anxiety or fear for intuition, or they were just leaning into what they thought was intuition without any like maybe this person is taking advantage of you. And sometimes we don't know, like someone appears with good intentions. It's almost like a narcissist where they're so charming and, you're like, oh my
yeah,
God, they're so great. And you don't realize till after. But it's a learning lesson after that you'll take with you and bring forward to make decisions better in the
right,
future. So
right.
it's not that you're always going to catch it. Unfortunately, that's just the way life works, right? But like we've had experiences with people where we're like, now we're eyes wide open
Hmm.
going into things and you learn from it.
Yeah,
So it's not
and
all necessarily bad when it does happen.
right, and it's all intended. Like you're so right. So many people, come to me and they're like, I don't trust myself anymore, and I don't know, I don't know what's, you know, right and wrong. Like they really lose that faith in themselves, and I feel like these quote unquote mistakes that people feel like they make, or that there's no real mistakes. I mean, you really are doing everything that is intended. You really are doing exactly what you are meant to do. So it's all lessons, it's all learning, and you're just working it out the way that you're supposed to be working it out.
Absolutely. And putting yourself down and shaming yourself for it is not going to change it and it's not going to make it better. Like, take something from a bad experience and be like,
Mhm.
okay. And it's not toxic positivity. It's not saying this was amazing. I learned this whole lesson. It's saying that sucked. Like, that didn't feel right. I'm going to remember that feeling for the
Right,
future. I'm going to remember that I didn't lean into like my skepticism, or maybe I just ignored it. And I need that for a reason. So moving forward, while this wasn't a pleasant experience, I really took something from it that I can use to make really good decisions for myself and rebuild that trust.
right, right. Yeah, and I think to your point, like again, like without the logic and reasoning, like I think we'd just be floating all in ether.
Yeah.
Maybe it would be lovely though.
Yeah.
I think that
I
sounds
mean, they
really
say
nice.
ignorance is bliss, so maybe it would be
Kind of want to
amazing.
be floating in the clouds.
Yeah, I would love it. But unfortunately, like, we
Yeah,
have life and reality, and we can't do that. So, this
yeah,
is just going to help you make the best of this experience here, And I'd be interested to see if people like have ways that they felt they've leaned in too much to their intuition or weren't sure what it was and how they've lost trust in themselves, because I think just even exploring that is part of the spiritual journey is
Right.
really looking at these moments where you're like, where have I done that and I beat myself up, or I didn't learn my lesson. Like maybe I wasn't looking at it and seeing what came out of it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a leap of faith. And not everybody does. I mean, I think that people more often don't do it. I think people more
Mm-hmm.
often maybe regret not following their intuition
Right.
more than they take the
That's
leap of
true.
faith. Like, I don't think many people regret taking the leap of faith. I think that they
Mm-hmm.
regret not taking it, like it's
Right.
like Lauren didn't go to Paris type of thing, She's the girl that didn't go to Paris type of vibe,
Yeah,
like
definitely.
it's that, like it's like not taking the chance. And like, so I do think that there's like something to taking the leap. Like, I don't think you ever really regret that because you are going to learn something anyway.
Okay, but here's where it gets tricky. If we're talking about things are destined and you didn't take that trip, what does that mean? Right? If these are destined things,
You were
then
never
how
meant
does
to take it.
intuition, right? But then are you going against your intuition? I'm getting really meta here.
Are you going against your intuition because you were never meant to take it? Well, I don't know, because that is questioning freedom of choice, right?
Right.
Because
So
if we
I don't
have free
know.
choice, because like,
Right.
okay, so like here's the thing. We come here to learn. This is my theory. This is what I understand of the universe, okay? We come here to learn specific lessons. We have life lessons that we come here to learn, plan them out before we come here, right? Like, we already know what those lessons are, already decided. But there are different timelines or different things that happen. So we do have freedom of choice. So when we come down here, different things can happen, right? So we make decisions and different things occur. We make choices, like blah, blah, blah. We go different directions. But there are certain things that have to happen, certain relationships
Hmm.
that have to happen, certain lessons that we already decided. But there's other like little things that can happen along the way. So I mean, whether you go on a trip or don't go on a trip, I guess it depends on whether or not you needed to learn a certain lesson or not. I don't know.
Right. So no, because you just said like, well, people regret going against their
Right.
intuition, right? But now that you're
Right.
talking, it kind of like makes me see like maybe the lesson would happen either way,
Yeah.
right? But maybe they missed out on this experience that the lesson could have been learned, right? In a different way.
Right.
And kind of how I see
Right.
intuition as this compass. It's like a whisper. And it's this compass that can guide you, and you get to decide whether you want to follow it or not. Are you gonna, and not that you can't figure it out. It's like having a map versus not having a map, right?
Right.
You can still find your way to something. It's just gonna be harder and you're gonna have to navigate it yourself, or you could follow the map with directions, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think the more that you get in tune with trusting yourself, it's also like the less that you need the external. Like, and I think we've talked about
Mm-hmm.
this before too. Like, you know, the less that you need things like cards, the less that you need psychics, the less, like, it's really tuning in
Right.
and trusting yourself and then having that map. It's like you have everything that you need inside of yourself. So you can go on a
Mm-hmm.
journey by yourself. You can, because you have that compass within you. It's like really like that solo journey. And I think that that's really cool and really just like empowering to have it within you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you need to do the work to do that. You need to go through those moments where you understand what's intuition and what's fear, what's ego, like
Mhm.
what is really, what's aligned, why do I do certain things? And that all becomes this whisper, this intuition, this guide, this compass. And I just think it's so interesting, like, and watching myself, like I said in the beginning, I'm really developing that, whether it's a decision to be made, like as small as, do I let this ruin my day or not?
Right.
Or something bigger of, I need to change careers, right? So
Mhm.
I just think there are such small ways that you could be doing this where that aren't really risky, whether I want to eat this food or not.
Yeah.
What do I want right now and why? And
Yeah.
and and you start there, start really small.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always know when I'm detached too. Like I know
Mhm.
when I'm ungrounded, I know when I'm detached from that like inner voice. And so, you can come back into yourself just by, getting quiet and just sort of tuning in and just like, quieting all of the noise. So I think that's important too, is like, we sometimes we're detached and you can really just a couple of minutes of quiet time, you can really just listen in that way.
Okay, the therapist in me wants to ask this. Um, how do you know you're detached? Because I think that helps other people to understand when they are.
I know I'm detached when I'm doing things like my version of detached would be like when I'm feeling really ungrounded. And so like that to me is like if I am maybe like binge eating, or if I feel like I have a lot of
Mhm.
restless thoughts, or if I feel like I am just like, yeah, if I'm feeling really irritable, if I'm like feeling really like all over the place, like that's how I know that I'm detached. And also, like, if I feel like I'm not really hearing the voice. I learned recently that not everybody has a narration in their head.
Mhm.
That's apparently not a thing, but my whole life has been narrated. My
Yeah.
head. Apparently, not everybody has that.
Know that they don't have it. I don't know if it's like a dial. Like, I don't know that they're tuned into it. Because for a
Okay.
while, I didn't think I had one, but I'm like, oh my God, I like narrate everything. I just didn't know that was the narration.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Mine's
And maybe some
British.
people don't. Wait, did I tell you when I read books, I imagine every character with a British accent?
Oh,
It's so random. I don't know why I do it, but everybody's British when I read. Um,
so funny. Yeah,
Yours is like the navigation, like
my
voices.
like
You
my
choose British.
yeah, like my inner voice is it's like it's not English.
That is hilarious. Mine's my
Well, she's
voice, but
English,
it's.
English.
I think you're English. You're like an Anglophile at heart.
Oh, I so am. I'm so British. I literally
Yeah.
like yeah, I don't belong here. I belong in London. But yeah, so, anyway, when I
Well,
don't hear the
sorry.
voice,
I have to interrupt for 1 second because I have a question about that. What did it say on your astrocartography about England for you?
um nothing. I am literally like living on my line of where I'm supposed to be. Yeah,
Wow.
and
That's
Weston.
amazing.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm like
Stop.
almost exactly where I'm supposed to be. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Is that not
Can you
nuts?
can you have another session with her and ask her why London or
Well, I
England
don't
is
know. We
just
didn't. Well, the thing is, too, is we didn't look because there's like so many different lines and so many different things. So
lines?
I know
Yeah.
like where I am right now, like, is definitely somewhere I'm supposed to be. And then also, like, it's where like I'm getting a lot of work done, basically, is like where I'm supposed to be, like,
Okay.
where I'm busy,
Right.
like, of course.
Of course.
But we didn't look at London. We didn't look there.
Okay.
So I
You
have to like
have
look.
to.
Yeah.
Like you have to.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting like an intense feeling they're like shouting, "Look at London."
Yeah.
Or I don't know why London keeps coming
It's so
out,
funny.
but
Well, because
England.
Rob and I have talked about living there for a year, so maybe we're gonna
Ooh,
go there one day. Yeah.
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 Sorry to interrupt, but that like was like
Anyway,
screaming at
yeah.
me.
And
So yeah, how do you
astrocartography for everyone, just like a little side note, is essentially like your natal chart, your astrology, but of location. So your geography.
Mhm.
It's really cool. Check it
Where
out.
you're like best aligned to live.
Hmm.
Um okay, so
Anyway,
that
yeah.
detachment, yeah,
Yeah.
you're expressing like mine's really similar. I'm really in my head. I
Hmm.
like don't even realize that time passes. I definitely
Hmm.
binge eat. I can't watch a show. Like my
Mm-hmm.
mind's just not there. I'm like really
Mm-hmm.
dissociated
Yeah.
and very irritable. And I know I need to like take a breath, go outside, get in nature, take a walk,
Mm-hmm.
um, ground on my deck, do a meditation. So if you notice, and there are different ways you can also feel detached from your voice or your highest self or your intuition, basically, is taking small steps and really reestablishing that trust with yourself and trusting like the small decisions you make. So I think that is really helpful in getting that middle ground, not only leaning on intuition, but also your logic and reasoning, and having skepticism is healthy. Like I know we like want to free fall into the intuition and be like, yes, it's guiding me. But like we were given that for a reason, and like you said, it's execution.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also keeping us safe,
Yeah.
and I think it's protective, which is also very masculine.
Yeah. 100%. And I think, if you are feeling lost, if you need guidance, again, that's why we're here. Come work with us, and we're happy to help you and guide you along the way. I mean, it's what we do.
Yeah. Right. And Amanda just launched her Frequency RX, which is
Yeah.
like this new lifestyle. Like, it is like your pharmacy for everything like you could imagine, but like you don't have to take a pill. It's going to
Yeah.
be how you eat. It's listening to a frequency that helps with uplifting your mood, with getting more energy, with connecting with your intuition, with your highest self. So, check that out. Come to one of us, both of us. We have that container, and we are here for you, and we can help you find that voice and that guide, and as we're also guiding you. So thanks so much. We will have our
Yeah.
next episode out, and you can get more of us there. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.